This is my character's CEO office. Um, we'll take a quick look around.
I've gotta go. Someone's coming. Anything you need, boss.
What am I doing wearing my helmet inside? There we go. All right. Man, I don't know what I paid the chick for. This place is a mess. I hate all this crap on the floor. Sometimes I throw lit cigarettes on there just in the hopes it'll catch fire. They really need to give us an option to clean this crap out. Like this is horrendous. It looks so tacky. But yeah, this is the CEO office, and now we're gonna go to
So,
the
we going to
garages.
have a good week,
This
boss?
my CEO office is the Arcadia building, and this is where I keep all my cars from 1920 to 1965. All the classic cars in the game throughout those years. Starting with office garage number 1. This will be where I keep the 1920s through basically 1950. Or at least the early 50s. All right. We got the Roosevelt, which in my opinion is one of the most beautiful cars in the game. Here we have it in purple and blue and chrome. This is the Roosevelt Valor, so it's the upgraded version. A few more options for customization. Otherwise, it's the same thing as the Roosevelt. So no sense in having both of them in here. It's yeah, she sure is pretty. Next to her is the Frankenstrange, which is basically a chopped and modded version of the Roosevelt. Um, Man, that engine sounds badass. I love the way it rumbles. Um, this is like a bluish gray and gold. Um, it's it's pretty. All my cars are pretty. I've got pretty weird taste though, so uh, yeah, you just bear with me. Here we have the Hustler in a beautiful green with matching wheels. Um, it's got the Broken Saints license plate, same as the Roosevelt over there. Um, I've got a. I spent all my. I bought every available license plate slot, so yeah, I've got 30 different customized license plates that I spread around my various cars. Next to the Hustler, we have the Hot Knife. Uh, Man, I love this car. I wish the rumble seats worked. Like, I wish people could ride in the rumble seats. That would be badass. Um, Although on this one, it opens backwards. So that wouldn't work too well. But yeah, the Hot Knife is cool. And then we have the Z-Type, the Truffade Z-Type, which is based off of a 1930s model Bugatti, one of the very first. It's got those crazy windows, but other than that, it's just an absolutely gorgeous car. I've got it here in this dark red and gold, and I think that turned out pretty well for it. It's a color scheme that works. Pretty meticulous about choosing colors for my vehicles. Um, and I try not to let my vehicles look like anyone else's. I'm sure there are other vehicles out there that have these same color schemes, but I try to keep it personal. For some things. Other things like this Winky, which is based off of the Jeep Willie from World War II. Some things just look good in your standard colors. Like you're not going to go wrong with olive drab. And yeah, if you're a fan of Cyberpunk, you'll recognize Militech on the license plate there. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Cyberpunk. I will go into that more at a later time. Next to it, we've got this Western Gargoyle, which is, believe it or not, based on a motorcycle from the 40s. That was later used for basically like hill climbing races or competitions. Not a lot of people know this, but the Weevil, obviously based on the Volkswagen Beetle, has literally been around since the final days of World War II. It is old. It remained pretty much unchanged. Like even when they stopped manufacturing them in Germany and America, they were still manufacturing them in Mexico up until the early 2000s. But yeah, it all started in the 40s. Then we've got the Dune Crawler, which is like a 1940s Ford cargo pickup, obviously with some military stylings. Yeah, that's enough said about that. Again, the Beetle is the Weevil is a highly customizable vehicle, and I dig that livery. That's why I had to have a second one in here. Not just for the customized version of it, but I had to do something with that livery. It's just cool. Then we got the World War II style military motorcycle, which it's a FCR 100 custom, but to me it looks like a cross between an Indian and an old Harley. So I'm not really sure what it is in this configuration, but it's cool. I do wish they'd given it the holster along the fork to hold either a Thompson or a shotgun. I think that would be cool, but that's the fanboy in me talking. And then we've got the old rat truck. I forget if this is a Ford or a Chevy. It's not a Dodge. I don't think so anyway. But I sure do like that purple I've got on there. I think it just works really well. All right, moving up to the third floor of the first garage. So that's the 20s through the 40s, and now we're getting into late 40s, early 50s. There are, 4 different Slam trucks available. Well, I mean, there's more than that if you count all the variants of the Arena Wars stuff. But yeah, the Vapid Slam truck done in the red, white, and blue. I love the way that turned out. It's a pretty useless vehicle. It would be cool if cars would stay on the back if you could actually tow them, but nope, that's just wasted opportunity. Got your regular Slam truck here, although this is the custom version. Again, it's one of those vehicles where the custom version and the regular version aren't really different enough to warrant having them both side by side. So I just went with the one that looks better. Speaking of looking better, my Broadway. I love this color scheme. I love this car. It all works out really well for me. It's like straight up, that looks like it's cast right from pearls, and the blue is just electric. Here we have the Arena War. Which one is this? The Future Shock version of the Slam Van, just because it's the clean one. The wheels don't work for this garage next to all these classics, but hey, it's so customized that it doesn't really matter. That really dark blue, almost black with the gold works well for me. But my Hermes, man, I have loved the Hermes ever since the Cuban Hermes in Vice City. Not to mention, just loving old Buick Roadsters. I love this purple paint scheme it's got on it. It's like iridescent. It really shines. All right, and we've got the Lost Slam Van, which I was lucky enough to win on the casino wheel. It's one of the prides of my collection. Like, it's hard to get this, and it sure is pretty. Let's see, what do I have on this license plate? Vagabond. I mean, it's a popular one for me. I like it a lot. All right, and that takes care of the 20s up to the early 50s. When I get back downstairs, we will head to the next garage, which takes care of the rest of the 50s. Oops. Oh, look, now the sun's out. There we go. I love this view. Oh, loading screen. All right, here we go, straight with the 50s. We got your 50s. It's a cross, but the Tornado is a cross between a 50s Cadillac and a 50s Chevy Bel Air. I think it's got more Bel Air influence than Caddy, but I've had people argue with me about it in the past. But yeah, to me, it's straight Chevy. Regardless, it's a beautiful model. I really like what Rockstar did with it. Hey, money. And then there's the Rat Rod version of it. Yeah. I mean, this one was different enough to warrant inclusion. It's pretty beefy looking. It's pretty badass. Got that Aldecaldo plate on it because, nomads for life. All right. I cannot say enough good things about the Eudora. It is gorgeous. It is one of my favorite classic cars in the game. It's just so elegant. Although, man, what a nightmare replacing that glass would have to be. There is just one giant piece of curved, solid glass. My good Lord. And it wasn't even, I don't think they even had safety glass back then. That was just straight glass. Phew. But yeah, I like the car. I like what I've done with it. I like that paint scheme. Some people don't like the mixing metallics or shiny with matte, but I think it creates an interesting look. Creates a texture. Like the Eudora, I absolutely love the Brigham. Again, just huge pieces of glass that would be a nightmare to replace. But yeah, I like this gray I've got on it. I think it worked out really well. I think it works. It melds exceedingly well with the chrome. You would think one would get lost in the other, but no, they're pretty distinct. The only thing that does manage to get lost, kind of, is the livery on there, but that's okay. It's kind of supposed to do that. I tried to keep it fairly standard looking, but I just had to add this skull blower. It just looks so badass. Um, Plus, it's just more chrome on the car, and who doesn't like that? Got the Voodoo Boys license plate, and then we're moving on to the Peyote, which got pink and zebra stripes. This is my pimpalicious ride here. Um, it it it's got a Nice Dreams license plate. Yeah, no, I drive this around, and I feel like I should be out directing my hose and collecting that green. Hmm. And then we've got the drag racing version of it uh, with the Peyote Gasser. I dig it. You can't really see the paint through here, but it's got a pretty underneath the livery. It's got a pretty unique green that I don't know. I just wanted that livery on there. Sometimes you got to make the choice. Um, the Peyote is a weird mix between an old Cadillac Eldorado and like a '50s Eldorado and a '50s Thunderbird. It's a weird mix. It turns out really well. Um, yeah, it sure is pretty. All right, moving up to the next floor. Honestly, honestly, I think in this garage, the first floor is my favorite. Um, we've got like a smaller set of '50s cars. I love a Woody, and the Click Wagon is just is it's gorgeous. Um, like it's a really well designed car by Rockstar here. Uh, they picked just enough of the original base cars uh, looks to to make it authentic looking and just beautiful. Uh, the Weenie Dynasty, I don't know. It's a cool looking car. I didn't care for the taxi liveries, but I do dig the this flaming livery on it. And then I made the car itself blue and pink, so it just looks like a piece of chewed gum. I don't know, in my eyes anyway. It's it's a neat little car. If they were going to put a taxi livery on it, it should have been available as a taxi vehicle, but it's not. Maybe someday. I talked about the Click wagon over there. I like that far more than the regular Click. I just don't think it's a very attractive car without the wagon kit. It looks like a Disney cartoon. Um, I know the car it's based off of, and I've always thought it looked like a Disney cartoon too. It just looks kind of goofy and surprised. Um, but I like that I was able to get the sea wash green color scheme on there, if you know what that is. Um, with this bagger, I tried to make it look like a classic motorcycle. I tried to base it off the motorcycle that Marlon Brando rode in The Wild Bunch, but that was a black and white movie, and I have no clue what the actual color of it was. But in my mind, it looked kind of like that. We've got the other Woody station wagon here with the Volcar Fagaloa, which I'm pretty sure we had an old Volvo like this when I was growing up. I think my mom had one, and we took many a cross-country trip in it with me riding in the back, me and my brother, back in the days before anybody cared about children's safety. I don't even know that the back seats had seat belts. But yeah, it sure is a pretty car. And I think ours was pretty close to this color. It was a really weird, like dark pinkish something. My mom called it the rosemary. But yeah, gotta love a Volvo. What you really have to love is an Impala, and the Voodoo is just as pretty a car, as pretty as a lowrider gets, really. Uh, and the Impala is pretty iconic. Um, I think most people choose this livery. I think it's probably because, you know, well, of her. She's pretty bitchin'. Um, but I like the way the blue and the purple work off each other, so that was my main reason. Um, and we've got the Enos Stafford, which it's based off Rolls Royce, and I don't think it gets any classier in the game. Like, this is the single classiest car you're gonna find. It's just gorgeous. And with this car, I would much rather be driven around in it than drive it myself. It's it's gorgeous. All right, moving up to the third floor, where we break into yeah, the compacts of the late 50s, early 60s. Um, First off, we've got the Canis Kalahari, which they're calling it. They're basically saying it's a Jeep, but I think it's supposed to be a German thing, a Volkswagen thing. I think Volkswagen made it. Anyway, it's a cool fucking car. I think people sleep on it, but I think it's really attractive. Uh, I think it's fun to drive, and I like what I've done with it. Like, you can get it with the top on it. There are certain things you can do to put the top on it. I don't like the top personally. It just it turns into a tourist ride. I like it the way it is here. Next to it, we've got the BF Injection, which is like the 50s model. You can definitely tell there's differences to the body styling of this Volkswagen equivalent than of the previous Weevil. It's kitted out for off-road. It's gorgeous. I like this is one of the very few vehicles where the rusted, like putting shiny paint over the rusted patina, creates just a really interesting look, and I think it turned out really well. Uh, it's more of a purplish if you get it out into the sun, with a pinkish secondary color, but um, yeah, I think it's gorgeous, even if it's all rusted and beat up, and the interior looks like it's been chewed on. But then we've got the Weenie Issy Classic, which everybody loves an old school Mini Cooper. I certainly do. It's got the Esmeralda license plate. Esmeralda is what I named my secondary character. She's female. Um, I love this car. I love the options it's got. I love uh, I love what I've done with it. This blue and green paint scheme. I love the wooden top. I don't know how historically accurate that is, and I don't know how long that would handle or stand up to adverse weather, but I love the way it looks. Um, and then we've got the Grotti Brioso 300, which is like an old Fiat. I remember in one of the James Bond movies, I think it was View to a Kill? No. Moonraker. One of the Roger Moore ones. He's driving in one of these, and somehow a car ends up upside down on the roof of this as he's driving it through the city. It was humorous, but kind of cool. Campy in that way that the Roger Moore James Bond films could end up being. Oddly enough, my favorite James Bond film of all time is a Roger Moore film. Even though he's my least favorite Bond, View to a Kill. Or no, For Your Eyes Only. That is my favorite James Bond movie. Anyway, we've got the Vapid Retinue in a dark pink color scheme here. Basically, this is GTA's equivalent of the first body style for the Ford Escort. Man, what an ugly car. Same as the Silvestra. The Anna Silvestra, I forget what this is supposed to be, but I mean, I think we can agree it's butt ugly. Yeah, the 60s and 70s compacts, and that's when the Japanese car market really hit it big by selling these little tiny ass cars that got great gas mileage but look like they just look like gum erasers. Huh. The Lampadati Michelli GT. I know Lampadati is supposed to be Maserati, but man, this is just the plainest, ugliest. It's just a lump. But I like what I did with it, so there we go. Anyway, that's the compacts leading up to the 60s. That's the end of the 50s right there. We'll go to the third garage in the CEO Tower. Oh, look, the sun's already going down. All right. I don't know why this is taking so long on a private server. All right, here we go. Starting things off is the I know how you're supposed to pronounce it, but I'm going to call it a Faggio. Basically, it's a old school Vespa, or at least the GTA equivalent of it. This is the custom version, just because it's got more options. I've got a regular version on my secondary character. We'll get to that at another point. But yeah. From there, we move to the BF Surfer with the. This is just a standard version. I've got the custom version over there. The standard version here is it's got a few enough different things about it that I felt it warranted including them both. Can't really tell how pretty the color scheme is in this light, which is sad because it's got man, I wish I could share that with you. It's got such a pretty color. All right. Then we got Trevor's truck, the Canis Bodie. This is based on the military vehicle that was popular with the French Foreign Legion, especially in places like Algiers and Tunisia, basically North Africa. It was made famous when Patrick Stewart drove the real-life version in the movie Point Break. I wish we could get a clean version, but I say that about all the rusted beater cars. But yeah, that's as good as I could make it look. Next, we've got the Bifta, which I don't know. I look at this car and I think of two things. I think of the old cartoon Speed Buggy, and I think of uh, a James Bond movie uh, where they're getting chased on the dunes, the sand dunes of a beach, by a group driving these. I believe that's For Your Eyes Only again. Yeah. And then lastly, we've got that the Surfer Custom, which, like I said, it looks different enough. There's enough different options that it that come as standard that it looks like a different vehicle. Plus, it's just so freaking pretty that I had to have both. It's got that cool wooden roof. Again, I don't know how historically accurate that is, but it looks bitchin', and I love me a bitchin' van. Lastly, we've got the S key here. Just an old school cafe racer. Not really sure why they called them cafe racers. I guess they raced from one cafe to the next or something. I don't know. It's a European thing. Moving up to the second floor, we've got the early 60s sports cars. Got two different versions of the Corvette. Two different versions of basically the same body style of Corvette. I think it's kind of weird to have these. They do that with a couple of vehicles. They do that with the Camaro and like the 70s Camaro body style. You've got both the Nightshade and the Phoenix, and here we've got the Coquette Blackfin and the D1. Yeah, you know, it's always good to have a little red Corvette, though. Got the Lampadati Casco, which is an old school Maserati. I forget the precise model name, but it looks cool. When I first got this, it was topless. It was basically a convertible due to some glitch when you bought it that took the roof off. Then Rockstar later just came and forced roofs on everybody's. What's funny is it'll occasionally show up in the car meet and it won't have the roof, but if you buy it, it of course puts the roof back on it. It's kind of I've done that twice now. Wasted my money buying it just to find out the roof is forced on there. Then we've got the DeClass Mamba, which is of course the original Shelby Cobra. Now this paint style is in no way authentic, but I think it looks badass on this car. The Shelby Cobra was just, for the time, it was probably the most gorgeous sports car on the planet. Then we've got the Sterling GT. Now I know it's supposed to be a Benz of some type, but I've never really figured out which one. I do know that I love the way the engine sounds, and when I'm driving it, it looks like I'm driving a Tylenol capsule with wheels. But it's cool. I love this car. We got the GT500, which is an old school Ferrari. I've got it in red, so it looks like a red Barchetta. If you're a fan of Rush, you'll know that they have a song called Red Barchetta where they mispronounce it, but it sounds cooler. Yeah, I like to drive this around while listening to that song. And finally, we have the JB700, which is, of course, the Aston Martin DB5. It's a thing of beauty. This is the 700W version, which is the version you can have like working guns and whatnot. It's funny because I actually took the guns off of it because I think it looks silly with just guns always sitting there. So it's the version that the guns will shoot, but I took the guns off because that's just the way it works. I wish they'd pop up and down like they do in Goldfinger, but they don't, so they had to go. But yeah, authentic to Bond. It's in gunmetal gray. Um, yeah, you gotta love this car. All right, and lastly, to finish off the CEO building, third floor, we have 60s supercars, the beginning of the supercar era. Now, the first car in here is, what are they calling this? The Scramjet, which anybody who's ever seen it knows this is based off the Mach 5 from Speed Racer. I didn't make it look anything like that, but I did include it in this garage because I didn't know where else to put it. I did love this car all through my childhood. Next to it, we've got another little red Ferrari, the Grotti Stinger. What's funny is this car, this model of this Ferrari, was actually, the real life version was seen in one of the Herbie movies as like Herbie's love interest. I don't know why, that always tickles me. Then we have the Coquette Classic. Now, my dad had one of these Corvettes, a 64, and it was gorgeous. It was almost this color of blue. And his wasn't a convertible. His had the big bulbous back end. But I like the convertible look, so that's what we went with. It's a gorgeous car. Yeah. All right, next to it, we've got another, like the race car version of the Ferrari, the Stinger GT. There's not much too special about it. I like the color that I've got on it. Those are just standard non-modded colors. They just look, it's a good color mix there with the pearlescent. Here we have the Ocelot Swinger, which, you know, I love a Jaguar, but I don't like this version. And the reason I don't like it is because I can't tell if it's coming or going. Like the back end looks like the front end of a car. The front end, I can't tell if it's coming or going. There are several other Jaguar models that I would have preferred them choosing. This is a weird one. It's a pretty enough car. I just don't care for it. I get confused when I look at it. Then we have the Monroe, which is based on the first Lamborghini, the Lamborghini Miura. Well, the first non-tractor Lamborghini. It was about as pretty as a car as you could get in the 60s. Yeah. There's a guy here in my town who has one, but it's all beat up and it's up on cinder blocks, and I don't know. I shake my fist at it whenever I see it for allowing such a work of art to be so misused and abused. And lastly, we have the Toreador, the version that I keep in this garage, which is based on a Lamborghini prototype car. The original, the true car is only a two-door, but otherwise it looks pretty much dead on. It's a very pretty car that would have never passed any safety standards anywhere in the world. And that takes care of all the classic cars that you can own in the game from the 1920s up through basically 1965. Next, we'll be moving to my nightclub where I keep muscle cars from 1965 to 1975. I will see you then.